husband realized we are not important to his family, so we're planning to quietly leave them behind. The old Irish goodbye to your family.
Irish goodbye your
Forever.
entire family.
A little background to understand this. Me, 42 female, and my hubby, 41 male, have been together for 22 years. During this time, we have been happy and very supported by my parents. One example that clearly shows this is that when he was still in college and we were not married yet, my mom helped him with tuition because his parents were struggling and couldn't pay. So he had to drop some classes and started a part-time job to be able to finish college. By the way, this comes from Owl Lee's 2079 on the OK Storytime subreddit. So when sister-in-law was turning 15, my mom helped with the celebration they threw for her, even though they didn't have the money because they didn't want her to feel bad. After a time, they struggled more and left them, my hubby, one elder brother, and younger sister, to move to another city. My sister-in-law was only 16 years old and was in 11th grade. My brother-in-law and hubby were in charge, and of course, I'll invite her to my house every time I could so she wasn't all alone, just with two brothers. I took her to amusement parks, got her to the movies, and anywhere I could so she wouldn't feel left out. Then he popped the question, and mother-in-law was so angry and asked why we were getting married so soon. We have been dating for 4.5 years till that moment. We announced our compromise in November and got married in March. I never asked about a penny because I knew they were struggling, but mother-in-law commanded me to invite her closest friends because their family wouldn't be able to go in on short notice. The wedding was originally planned for 100 people, but since the wedding was going to be close to my family and many would want to attend, I pushed the number to 150. After RSVPs from in-laws' family, we had to push it to 200. Not only 100 in-laws were at the party, but also mother-in-law's closest friends. My hubby couldn't invite all of his friends due to this, and I had to get a guilt trip because I didn't invite in-laws' family to the civil ceremony. The only in-laws that I invited took photos and videos at court, and I never received them. I don't have a physical memory about that, except for the official document. Also, I didn't have a wedding planner, and I was so busy with all the planning that I didn't save a time to spend with the in-laws' family that traveled so far to be with us, and that was something that mother-in-law always reminded me, like she was trying to guilt me. But hubby always reminded her that she never helped, and she was so busy with other stuff that I couldn't. Fast forward to when we were expecting our firstborn and in-laws decided to come back to the city, only to know that we were leaving for another city for better job opportunities for my hubby. And mother-in-law told me that I was doing this on purpose. Sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's simply not about you and they just want to move.
Yeah, sometimes people are just living their lives.
And it's different because it's not your life, and that's all. During the time being, we invited mother-in-law to go visit, but she will only go if the trip included a ticket to visit her mom. So she would stay 1 week with us, 3 weeks with her mom, 1 week with the in-laws, and 3 more days with us on her return. And you have to pay for all that?
Seems reasonable. Seems entirely reasonable, right?
Of course, all paid by hubby. I was okay because I knew that it was difficult for her to travel. When I was expecting my second child, it was difficult to keep this spending, so hubby wouldn't patronize these trips anymore, and she wouldn't go and visit us anymore. Oh no. What are you going to do without her in your life?
Oh no. What am I going to do without this expense on my budget? Oh no.
One day, hubby needed surgery, and I needed some help taking care of the kids while I spent time with him at the hospital. She couldn't come. It was her B-day. My mom dropped everything and went to help us. My mom always has been there for us, never missing a birthday or a special occasion for the kids. Mother-in-law couldn't be there for her son. Fast forward 2 years from now, brother-in-law was getting married, and despite all the help he received from mother-in-law for his wedding, we got a guilt trip because we were struggling to go travel. Now we're a family of 5, and it's not a 1-hour trip that we had to take, it's a 12-hour trip. At the end, we were able to go thanks to my mom's help. The day of the ceremony, they told us that they were expecting that our youngest will be part of the bridal party. The day of the ceremony?
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, your 5-year-old's gonna be up there, so I don't just tell her,
just like,
let her know."
Oh yeah, no. Did you email my 5-year-old about that?
Yeah,
oh.
my 5-year-old talked to your 5-year-old, and they kind of worked something out. So she's gonna be up there. She's actually officiating the wedding.
I could have swore my 5-year-old was out of office all week last week though, and actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, every week of her entire life because she's 5.
She's 5 years old.
So
She was, okay, so they never told me that. She was well dressed, but not that kind of dress to be in all of the photographs next to the couple. Fast forward to today, during this winter break, we traveled to our hometown to visit both families for Christmas and New Year's celebrations. Father-in-law will turn 70 years soon, and they were talking about celebrating. He is not a people person, and he doesn't like big parties. However, that is not something mother-in-law cares about. They were told that back at their old hometown, one cousin of my hubby will be getting married, and all of father-in-law's brothers and sisters will be attending, so that will be the perfect time to celebrate him the next day of the wedding. Mother-in-law asked hubby if we will be willing to attend since the town is closer to where we live, and he said if my dad wants that, yes. We are not invited to the wedding yet, and he didn't know the date. Next morning, we went to brunch all together, and mother-in-law told me in front of my oldest the date. So my oldest said, hey, it's my birthday, and we were planning to have it here with my grandparents and uncles and aunts. He's turning 15, and he has never had all of his family in his birthday due to distance. The only one that has ever been with him is my mom, and sometimes my dad when work allows him to travel. Then mother-in-law joked and said if he was going to have a real quinceañera, and I told her that for him, it was a quinceañera with the people he wanted. I dropped the topic because she said father-in-law didn't want to have a party anyway. What just happened there? Did you get that?
I'm a
little confused.
I got to keep it 100 with everybody here.
I'm a little
confused. I think we're all confused.
I
think maybe the structure of this story is missing.
We're missing
proper
a little
punctuation,
bit.
and
I think so.
It's hard to know who the hell's being talked about at any given moment.
We're to keep going, and maybe it'll sort itself out. But here is where I may be the a-hole. Yesterday, we were having dinner at in-laws, and they told us that they were searching for flights to the wedding. Then I reminded them that their only grandson's wish was to have all of his parents at his birthday celebration, and mother-in-law said it's not a real celebration anyway.
What?
Okay.
What is wrong with her?
Okay. So he was like, oh, I don't want to have like a huge quinceañera thing. And she was like, well, then it's not a real celebration and I'm not coming and I don't care. And so that's crazy.
Seems maybe a little unnecessary.
Yeah. You didn't have to. You could just say, oh, I can't make it.
It's like, this 15-year-old birthday party needs to go crazy or I'm not going.
It's not real.
Is it 14 or 15?
15.
Yes.
Yeah. I was so angry I saw red. I looked at my son's face and he was numb. I looked at my daughters and they were shocked. Then observed hubby's and I looked at his face with sadness, but he has never been able to confront them, so he just shook his head. Then sister-in-law said that the price of the flight was not bad at all, and father-in-law said that they will find better prices later. I snapped and told him in a really bad way that if they are trying to find flights for spring break with a cheap price, they're so wrong that we know about this because we always travel here to visit them, and that's why we travel by car instead of plane, because it's a longer trip but cheaper to travel on seasons highly demanded such as spring break and winter break, and that those are times that we take time and money to come and visit them even though they don't care. That was poorly written,
dude,
but from what I understand, OP is saying
you crushed that.
Oh boy, that it really went downhill at a certain
Clearly,
point.
English not first language.
Hold on, everyone.
There's a lot. I think the gist of that was basically like they were talking about getting cheap flights, which is crazy because they're like, we literally drive out to save money, and now you guys like need it just sounds like they're like they need things to be their way. It's their way. It's their way or the highway. They're not
willing to put in any effort to go see OP and her family.
Yeah.
Whereas OP and their family is always putting in a lot of effort to go and visit them. Right. That's what we just learned.
Yes, correct.
After that, I waited a few more minutes and asked hubby to leave. We were going to visit on Sunday. We were nearby their house. I even asked hubby if he wanted to go, and he said no. Later, he told me that he didn't like the way I talked to them, but he understood where I was coming from, and now he won't ask me or my kids to go visit them because he realized we are not as important to them as they are to us. Because I'm the one that's always forcing the kids to go and visit in-laws because I know how important this was to hubby, I even asked my mom to take the kids to visit my in-laws when they're spending summer vacations with her and I'm at work. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. We are going to their house because we already committed to but I'm planning on going just to have a good time with hubby and kids and leave as early as we can. Whenever I went to the in-laws' house, I tried to be helpful and serve them. That won't be my part today, but they don't care about my son's wishes. And again, maybe if they tried to make it work, if they talked to us, I would have accommodated them. Now I know that it's not my place because they don't consider hubby, me, or my kids as a part of their plans, and I will not change our ideas or my son's wishes just because of them. But I wish for you guys to listen to full episodes with stories like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. And there is a little bit more. Honeybee says I missed a chunk of that. Do you mean like I didn't read something, or do you mean like it just didn't compute? Because if you mean it didn't compute, you'd be right. But I think I'm understanding a little bit more. It just seems like there is a effort that is not matching.
Yeah. Really
on the other family side, it's like they had this wedding and they had this the 70th birthday for the father-in-law that they are asking OP and her family to, you know, take out a lot of time and do a lot of work to make sure that they can come. But then when the son says, "Oh, I'm having a birthday," they're like, "No, we're not going to come."
Like, yeah, it's not even real.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
So there's just not a lot of like equal effort being put in, I think, on both sides.
They're putting in the hard work, and then they're like, well, we shouldn't really have to work hard for this. Why? What is this working hard to maintain things? What are we doing?
And also it seems like the OP's husband is like, "Oh, well, I didn't like that you stood up for us." It's like, you need to stand up for yourself as well and
I
your
think
family.
there's also probably some like traditional
it's like respecting your
values,
your parents, and your, you know,
because I'm not, I may be wrong, but I think that it's like, I mean, the quinceañera is supposed to be like a big deal.
It is, yeah.
It's supposed to be like everybody you've ever known in like your whole life, basically. Sort of like, I mean, it's like very similar to like the bar bat mitzvah, whatever. So I guess to be like, no, we're gonna do a low key thing. It's like, if someone is like really about like traditions, they'd be like, well, what do you mean you're doing a low key? You're just having a get together. That's not a quinceañera. Like, what are you talking about? So I can get that, but also it's like, if all the kid wants, he's like, I just want my grandparents there. I just want some friends there. That's what you got. You got to respect that, right?
You would think. But there is a little bit more to the story. And the cherry on top? They don't know this yet, but there is a plan going on right now that we might be moving to a different country, and this will be the last memory that we'll be creating with them before moving away. And for sure, it'll be more difficult to come and visit every year as we used to. Hubby told me not to tell them, so it'll be too late for them to know, and their plans will haunt them. In his words, they don't care about me or my family. Too bad I have my real family. His in-laws, my parents. Today, sister-in-law wrote me asking why didn't they go to their parents on Sunday and if I was going to help her mom cook, and I answered that I wasn't feeling good and I'm not going to go today. Well, hubby is buying tickets for the movies that will go with my parents and the kids. So am I the a-hole? No. Yeah, your husband's...
Oh, really? No?
I don't think so.
No, yeah, of course not. No, I was just,
like,
I agree. I'm in complete agreement.
Okay. Whew.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to mix it up there for a second.
Keep you on your toes. You are the a-hole.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're trying to take care of your kids? I don't buy it.
Yeah.
No, you're not the a-hole. Don't spend time on people who don't care about you.
Even if they're your elders.